Woke up this morning 7:30 and I'm like, bitch, it's fucking early. So I turned around to the bitch in the side of my bed and I'm like, bitch, why is this fucking alarm clock going up at 6 in the morning? And she's like, bitch, you said that shit last week. And I said, bitch, I didn't fucking know you last week. So I got up out of my bed and I'm like, I gotta take a shower. So I went into the shower, I got that hot water on my back, I'm like, this shit's fucking hot. So I got out of the fucking shower after I was clean and I went to go wash my hands. I washed my hands and I put some soap on that shit to make it fucking clean. I was like, it's already 8 o'clock and I'm not fucking drunk, so I went down and I had some cereal. Instead of milk in my cereal, I used fucking red beer. After my red beer fucking cornflakes, I got up and I'm like, I need to down some beers. So I opened my 6-pack of Molson Canadian and I drank that shit in 6 seconds, 1 fucking second of beer. And I'm like, I'm so fucking drunk. I gotta get high. So I walked up and I'm like, bitch, you sleeping? And she's like, honey, I'm fucking sleeping. I'm like, bitch, get the fuck up. So she's like, I still wanna sleep. So I'm like, bitch, get the fuck down. So I dragged her by her fucking hair, pulled her down all 18 of my steps. Her fucking head went clunk, 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 every fucking step. And she got down. I don't even know she was awake when we got to the bottom. I'm like, take a puff of this shit. And I lit up a joint. And I smoked like 8 grams. And I'm like, I'm so high. And I'm like, why don't you try? Take a little puff. And she could hardly breathe. She was mumbling and shit. She was like, and I saw her eyes close. And I'm like, bitch, why the fuck are you sleeping? It's 8:30 in the fucking morning. So I fucking kicked her in the head and I'm like, I'm through with this shit. So I went outside the door and it was fucking bright outside. I put on my sunglasses, I got in my fucking go-kart, and I rode down my street. I rode down until I got down to the local arcade. And I'm like, I gotta make me some money. So I pulled out some weed. And I'm like, hey you, kid at the game was fucking shooting guns off. And I'm like, you. And he's like, yeah? And I'm like, you wanna smoke weed? And he's like, no, what's weed? And I'm like, it's supposed to be smoked. And he's like, I don't wanna smoke no weed. And I'm like, bitch! And I fucking kicked him in the face. Fucking head was on the ground, he dropped his drink. His drink was all over the ground. And I said, take a puff of this. And he's like, he picked that shit up with his broken arm. And he took a puff and he's like, oh my god, it's so hot in my lungs. I'm like, bitch, I don't fucking care about your lungs. And he got up and with his fucking broken arm, and he walked away, and I'm like, I'm fucking $10 richer. So I went to the back of the arcade, and there's these girls sitting around this table eating popcorn and fucking Coke, drinking back their Coke. And I'm like, I sat down beside one of them. One of them was a little bit overweight. And I pushed her over. Her fucking ass was overflowing. I'm like, hey girls, you wanna come back to my place? And they're like, we don't wanna come back to... I said, bitch, fucking stop you in your tracks. You coming back to my place. So I grabbed them by their arms. I'm dragging them out. And the guy working at the front counter, he's like, you can't walk away with my... I'm like, fuck you. And I walked up to him. I punched his head into the fucking counter with all the toys when you win in the games and you get the toys, and I fucking smashed his head in. He tried to pick up a fucking fake baseball bat and hit me in the face, and I'm like, no, you can't do that. And I dodged that shit. I fucking went around, and he's like, what the fuck? And I punched him in the fucking face. I walked out with all my girls, and I'm like, I gotta get me some cunt. So I went back, and we fucking went in my house, and the girls fucking sitting around, and I'm like, bitch on the fucking ground. She's still passed out, and it's fucking 9:30 in the morning. So I kicked her head to the side. I said, bitch, you want some pancakes? And they're like, sure. I said, fucking, I didn't ask you if you wanted pancakes. I asked my dog. I asked my fucking dog if he wanted pancakes. So we went upstairs, and I started fucking each of them. They were lined up outside. I was like, you ain't gonna be this tall to fucking ride. So I'm like, fucked one, and I'm like, I'm fucking tired. And I looked at my watch, and it's 10:30 in the morning. So I sent her out and I said, send the next one in, and Biggie Ass comes in and she's like, hey. She talked like a dude too. She's like, hey, I want some, get some cunt. I said, I'm not gonna give you no cunt, you fat fuck. So I started giving her a fucking hand job because she had a dick and I didn't realize it. So I pushed her to the fucking bed and I'm like, why you have a dick, bitch? And she's like, I got a dick, I was born. I'm like, bitch, you look like a girl, why do you have a dick? She's like, I'm a hermaphrodite. I don't fucking care what kind of animal you are. And I pushed her out the door. I went down the stairs. I need to get me some more beers. So I opened my freezer and I'm like, oh, there's another 6-pack. So I fucking pounded that shit back. Fucking 6-pack in 10 seconds. I was like, I'm so drunk. And I went outside. And I fucking tripped on my cat. I fucking hit my face in the ground. I'm like, fucking, I'm tired. It's 10:30 in the fucking morning. Is that shit unforgivable?